Now, Paul's voice has been sweet and gentle, but I am really meaning to be very firm with you here on this point. Find someone else and make the gift. And pay attention to which voice you're inviting into your mind. And keep out the riffraff. Because you're always going to have to clean up after it. Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hands. Right here, and if you'll hold your hand up so, yeah. There you go.
Okay. Hi.
Good afternoon.
Let's see if I can do this without my throat chakra closing. Like the gentleman to my right, I kind of want to update. At one point you told me that it wasn't a vocation or a location I was looking for in my life, but it was the purpose of fulfillment. That purpose of fulfillment, to me, appears to be staying in touch with guidance, with my clarity and my peace as I walk. Now, situations have unfolded in my life where it's obvious to me that I can't choose from my ego point of view because they're too much from that point of view. I become too overwhelmed. And when I reside in my peace, I feel that these situations in my life are how should I say, available to me, an understanding, a choice. So I would like guidance. I'd like to understand more clarity. And I don't know if you need more specifics.
But you're being very clear right now.
Yeah.
You've pegged it for what it is. You recognize what works and what doesn't work. You're clear. So what is the problem?
One thing is I compare myself, desiring to have some sort of physical purpose or focus, or perhaps...
I'm sorry, did you say your guidance told you to do that?
No.
I didn't think so.
No.
I'm just reminding you that your question indicates you've abandoned what you value so highly in order to have the problem to ask a question about.
Yeah, that's why I was so nervous about asking a question.
Would you like to go back and dilly-dally with the ego a little bit for a while?
No.
Then don't. How many times do you have to get burned before you say, whoa, not going to do that again? you're going to choose whatever you choose, no matter what I say. But I encourage you to choose to continue to listen for guidance. And if your guidance doesn't say to compare yourself with anything else, don't do it. And if other people say to you, or compare you to someone else, don't take the bait. Unless you want to lose your clarity and burn yourself again and realize, oh, I did it again. And I didn't want to do it. There's always a partner. Peace always has a partner. And the partner's harmony. What do you want? Harmony or agony? Harmony or distress?
My ego's very upset about there not being some sort of defining principle. And as I feel consciousness expand, and as I open up to more of myself, I feel more
I'm
unknown.
going to be very blunt with you. If you find out what your spiritual purpose is, and you declare it, you will have a world who will hold you to it. That says you're responsible to us to live your purpose. The minute you can define it, you will succumb to every means of control that everyone else can bring to bear to get you to fulfill it, because they don't want to have to fulfill it for themselves. It having been such a long time since a gathering, 13 months since the last Sunday gathering, Paul went through during this past week some self-doubt and uncertainty. He wondered, why does he do this? Why does he work with me? Why do we have gatherings? He can't see in everyone who comes to the gatherings any well-defined benefit. You see what I'm saying? He says to himself, I've been listening to you, Raj, for 18 years. And so what? What has it gotten him? He doesn't know what the reason is for getting together in a clearly defined, intelligent form, you see? However, he is aware that as the years have gone by and people have begun to have a concept of who I am, many have begun to feel that Paul is obligated to let who they think I am fulfill the purpose they think I have for them, and they have become somewhat demanding to fulfill this concept they have. You see what I'm saying? definitions will get you into trouble. Paul still does not have a definition. Paul does not know what's going on here today. Paul is fully conscious of what's going on, but he doesn't know what's really going on. But healing is going on. The leaven that leavens the whole lump is leavening the whole lump. But he has no evidence of this. Heaven help him if he ends up being as certain about what he's doing as others are about what they think he's doing and what he ought to be doing, because then he'll become entrapped and will not stay in the fluid movement of the Father's love that transforms. Don't you do it either. Don't let a definition come in. You see, Paul knows that many people who listen to me are students of the Course, but he's also intimately aware of the fact that Course students, Christians, Jews, atheists, Buddhists are nothing other than my brothers. And I make no distinction whatsoever. And I speak to all and for all. Not on the basis of the definition they define themselves with, not to promote Buddhism or A Course in Miracles, but because I'm just the presence of love. And I'm awake, and I know who you are. And I need you to know who you are, so that we may be brothers consciously, peers, equals, with none of you feeling unequal, you see? The only way this can happen is as the expression of love, allowed to move into expression, which is what Paul is doing right now, even though he can't define it. He is doing it. You all are participating. Don't let the need for a definition trap you. We will take a break. Okay.
Okay. Just one point of clarification. In my thinking, which I think is happening here, is in all the possible scenarios that are the little dramas in my life that are presently occurring, am I to understand that what you're saying applies to those? The situation in Taos, the situation in Portland, situation with my need to understand career or vocation, location, all these things. Are all those grouped in that, in the answer that you've given me?
Absolutely.
Okay. Gotcha.
See, pay attention to the obvious. Paul cannot tell you what it is we're doing. There isn't any neat little definition that can be applied to it. But what he's doing is being recorded by a video camera and on audio tapes. There is definition, isn't there? There is something happening. He hasn't become a blob that just sits in the middle of his living room floor and that's all there is to his life. There will be definition to your life. But you don't have to be able to explain to someone else or to yourself what it is you're doing. You see, it isn't what Paul is doing that is meaningful to him, it's what he's being. Your answer will come in what you are being, not in what you are doing. And you will take what you are being into everything you're doing. But the doing won't be the point. If you get sucked into thinking that your doing is the point and a definition of the doing is meaningful, you will stop being. And when you stop being, your life will lose definition. Unless you, through your own will, manage to keep a definition alive. And then you're going to end up fulfilling a role that you have in your mind that has nothing to do with who you are and what you are. And that's when you're trapped, and that's when the world will set your schedule and set your responsibilities. And it's a downhill road from there. Because, again, what you're doing is stuffing yourself. And you're not making the gift because you're out of touch with your being. Your life will have definition. It will be describable. But let others do the describing, and then don't get caught up in their description.
Thank you.
Paul surfs the web and runs across people who call themselves teachers of God and teachers of A Course in Miracles, and he wonders where he fits in. He doesn't fit in to definitions. When you're being from the impulse of God in you, you won't fulfill definitions, but you will be a fulfilling presence. And what you do will tend to be fluid and change, because what fulfills God's purpose always accommodates the need. And someone watching you will say, oh, well, he wears many different hats. And you'll say, hats? What? It won't make sense to you, but it'll make perfect sense to the person who's living still in the realm of definitions. You see? If you're looking for a definition of you, it means you also naturally look for definitions in others. And if you look for a definition, a concept in them, you'll miss the Christ that they are. Oh, you get out your business. Here's my definition. What's your definition? And you can trade cards. Isn't that funny? And you go on your way to trade cards with someone else, and the two of you don't have the slightest idea who the other encountered. What a waste. Because what was really there was the opportunity to look into each other's eyes and remember God and wake up instead of playing definition games. You see? Oh, well, I'm a student of the course. Or I'm a devout Catholic. Do you realize that if you give that definition, well, a student of the course, if he's going to listen for the voice of God, is going to expect to hear the course. Well, maybe that day God is responding to that individual right where that individual needs to feel love and says, you know, you need a good cry. Where does it say that in the Course? You can't be God. You're telling me to feel emotion? You need a good cry. You need to do that which gets you out of your head and into your heart. Go ahead and cry. I'll be with you. Well, you can't be God because you know nothing about the human condition because of your nature. Therefore, you can't be God, you see. So the minute you give yourself a definition of any kind, what you've done is you've defined that you are this and you are not that. And it's a trap. I don't mean that it ensnares you. That it's just that it's a dead-end road that doesn't allow for insight or revelation unless it comes in the specific language you're willing to listen in. It also means that you can't enjoy the brotherhood of man unless mankind approaches you in the language of your willingness to listen. You see? Everybody's got to get past this. This is the part of the freedom. This is the part of the change that comes when there's a willingness to say yes to God. Territories, boundaries, false definitions that simply serve as a mask to the Christ that you are, these all need to be abandoned. Well, I can tell who you are by the mask you wear. No one can tell anything about you on any basis other than their willingness to look at you and be willing to see beyond whatever their current mindsets are, beyond whatever their biases are, whatever their preferences are. Because until their presence is clear of their definitions, there's no room for something new to register with them when they look at you. Your quest for a definition is one that will never lead you anywhere practical or fulfilling, even though everyone around you can show you their definitions, which they call their credentials, and claim that you're nothing because you don't have a definition, or it's not a good enough one. you're understanding what I'm saying.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hands. The gentleman in the back there.
For years, I've been without definition. Lately, I've been giving definition about myself even when I'm not asked by people to do so, on the assumption that it's coming from a purpose that I have allowed to arise from within me. But I'd welcome any comments regarding a trap that I'm falling into in this regard.
It is temporarily serving a purpose. But you can't afford to take it seriously. And the fact is that you are not. You're having fun with it. I don't mean you're being misleading. But it's more honest not to give it. It's more honest not to give a definition. That's the end of the answer. If you want to pursue it further, you're welcome to. That's me, Paul, talking.
No, I think that's what I hear is that I'm to take it lightly. That, however, does not mean that I cannot speak about what I'm doing in concise ways. To have fun with it.
It is. Paul is perfectly able to describe what happens. He is perfectly able to say that he holds gatherings in which he sits down and becomes clear, still in his mind, and listens and hears a voice which he shares. So he can describe what happens. But he can't say that he's a teacher of A Course in Miracles or he's a teacher of God because he has no concept of what those words would mean. He cannot say how it fits into an overall scheme of things. He can say that he knows that when he does what he does, it's blissful. There is an experience of fearlessness, an experience of groundedness. In other words, there is no experience of vulnerability. And that when he just allows what happens to happen, that his world reflects back to him that it was meaningful for them. So he can talk about what happens.